hearing you tell us the story, it reminded me like sometimes less is more.
When you're starting something new, never say no. Always say yes.
Don't overbook yourself so that you can be open to what the universe gives you.
But then one day you realize, like, I don't want to work for somebody else. I want to work for me.
Giving things away for free, you just get so much more back out of it. And I don't know about you, but sometimes like the highest paid things that I've had, it's not that I enjoyed it more. Sometimes I even enjoyed it less because I had less creative freedom. Welcome back, everyone, to the Successful Stylist Academy podcast. I'm so thrilled to hang out with you today. You know, the storytelling side, I'm really getting into it. It's really inspiring and it just tugs at the heartstrings. And it's something that reminds me that we are all in this together. This is something that I really feel passionately about. And this is something that connects all of us together, no matter how long you've been a beauty pro. And I know some of you guys listening are not even in the industry, and that's even more solidifying to me that this is something that brings us all together. So I want to thank you all for the 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. Keep sending those reviews. We have until the end of November, and we are going to be giving some of our merch away, and you guys will be rocking one of our really fun salon t-shirts. Okay, so now let's get into our special guest today. This is a friend of mine that I met through, I think, mutual friends. I don't even actually remember how we met. I just think that
we met through air.
Did we meet through air? I don't even know. I can't even remember.
It was like the second gathering in Arizona that we did, I want to say.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, but I think I was kind of like stalking you on Instagram before we actually met. And so maybe it was one of those things that I just quickly became obsessed with you before I actually met your face. And you're one of those people on Instagram that you are, number one, you're so humble. Number two, you're freaking so talented. And number three, you rarely show your face. So it's like, well, lately you have been a little bit more, but it's one of those things where I was just like, I don't actually know if I am looking at the right person. You know, it's like that association. And I'm sure you guys are all laughing on the other end because you know what that's like when you meet someone and you're like, I think this is that person. And then you know them as Blush and Maine, but you're not really sure of like her actual name. Anyway, I'm going backwards, you guys, but I want to introduce my girlfriend, Sarajane Maples. She is hanging out with us today, and she's going to be sharing some of her really awesome stories that she's experienced in this industry. So, hey, girl, how's it going?
Oh, what's up? I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for asking me to do this. I was like, absolutely, anytime, whenever you have a second, I'm there. Yes, I was so excited.
Well, you're one of those people that I feel like we were talking about this before we actually started recording, but you are so multifaceted. You've done a lot in this industry. You have such a heart and passion. You have a clear vision. And you're someone who is kind of obsessed with learning and growing, just like I am. And so I feel like I get so lit up whenever I talk to you. Like the energy that I feel from you, it gets me excited for like all the future things that could possibly happen in this lifetime. I want to give you the floor though, because I want you to share like what your background is and how you got started in the industry.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. That's all so sweet. Like I almost started like tearing up. I swear, I always joke. I'm like, I'm not an emotional girl, but when it comes to work and what I love, I will. We just shot Naha like a couple months ago, and I was literally like crying watching it happen and come together. It's like, it gets so exciting. And thank you for that. It was so sweet. But yeah, so I have been licensed 12 years this year. Went to Aveda here in Jacksonville, Florida. And I had a very unconventional start to this life. I don't even want to say styling or hairdressing because it encompasses so much now. But I started pretty much I'd always wanted to go to hair school. I was doing makeup behind a makeup counter. I had been in beauty my entire life. And I was like, I'm going to go become a professional makeup artist and I'm going to get a license so I can do it all. And fell in love with hair and was like, no more makeup. I'm going to stick to hair. While I was in hair school, I met my mentor, Casey Powell. She had already been doing weddings for like 10 years prior to this. And she was like, hey, do you want to come assist me at some weddings? And I was like, hell yeah. I never said no to anything though. I had give me some advice at a young age. And they said, when you're starting something new, never say no. Always say yes. And I was like, yep, I'll do it no matter what. So, I started assisting her with weddings, and then I went, I graduated hair school. I was put behind the chair way too soon. I didn't have the chance I needed to really grow and learn with as an assistant, which I think is very important. So I actually had to backtrack quite a bit, was like, oh my gosh, this is not for me. I didn't do very well. And then I was still doing weddings with like other companies while I was doing this. I was still working at the makeup counter. I was working like 4 jobs. I've always worked so much, like
Wow.
a million different things. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to work weddings. And that's what I love. That's what I must be good at. Right. And I can just do that because I'm terrible at all this other stuff because I had never been trained properly, you know? And so I worked with Casey and I was like, I'm just going to do this. You know, it's great money. It's whatever. I don't want to have my own business. It's too hard. I don't want to do this. It's too hard. It's just overwhelming. But then one day you realize like, I don't want to work for somebody else. I want to work for me. And that's when I created Blush and Mane in 2016 was when I created the original account with the name. And that was before I had bought the LLC, but that was like the first little bit of, I think I can do this. So what I started doing with that Instagram page is my friend at the salon, I was like, let me style your hair. And I took pictures of her hair in front of the white bathroom wall.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
And I posted every day. And I started getting bookings and the Instagram grew. And that's kind of how it all started. And in 2017, I was named Modern Salon Top 100. I had 1,100 followers on Instagram. And the woman who contacted me about that, I'm still close with, who works for L'Oreal. And so I've still cultivated those relationships that I grew back when she first found my account. And that's how I met Erica at Studio Sage. And that is when my career blew the door open and everything changed.
Isn't that amazing? I wrote a couple of things down as you were talking because they really stood out to me when you were talking about starting something new and never saying no. I completely agree with you on that. And even to this day, there are certain things that if I'm interested enough in it, or I just want to come alongside someone, or even if it just sounds like fun, sometimes giving things away for free, you just get so much more back out of it. And I don't know about you, but sometimes like the highest paid things that I've had, it's not that I enjoyed it more. Sometimes I even enjoyed it less because I had less creative freedom. Sometimes what you get out of it is not going to be monetary. It's going to be deeper, richer than that. So I love that you even just said that right out the gate. And then the next thing was cultivating relationships 100%. How many times is it that people think that they need to know more people, or they need to have more followers, or they need to grow this thing before they can do something else? And a lot of it is just about richening and deepening those relationships. So I love that you even said that you had 1,100 followers, you said?
1,100.
Yeah. So you didn't have like 50,000, 500,000 or whatever, millions of followers. You didn't have a huge following in order to gain that merit. So it just goes to show that like your passion bled through, you stuck with what you were really good at and what you really loved doing, and you were consistent about it. And it caught the eyes of someone who, you know, obviously they just saw what you're doing. They're like, okay, this girl's talented. So it comes down to that.
That is something that is so special and important to me. That like you and I, like you live in Portland, I live in Florida, like cultivating this relationship, people that really align with your core values and where you see yourself. The woman who reached out to me when I had 1,100 followers, literally what I mean by you never know who you're going to meet. You never know we're going to run into them again. Last year in New York, Erica won the L'Oreal contest for USA. She asked if I could come along and assist on her shoot because it was a big production and I loved to shoot. Guess who was there at the photo shoot? The woman who saw my work in 2017.
Oh, no way.
And I was like, oh my God, Alexis, I can't believe this is you. And like, we get like, you never know when those people are going to come back around again. So like making sure that you really soak in and keep those people close and value those like connections.
I completely agree with you. Absolutely. Wow. So when you were building your clientele behind the chair and you were styling their hair and posting those on Instagram, you were also doing weddings as well. You were doing both.
Yeah.
You're doing both. Yeah. And then how long did you keep doing that? Or is that something that you've just kind of like continued through as you've grown?
So when I say working behind the chair, I say that loosely because the girl has never really worked behind the chair because, like I said, it was unconventional. I started a salon, took 5 steps back. I started assisting again, did that, started to try to take clients behind the chair, took 5 steps back. I mean, it just never took off for me. And I always thought, like, as a stylist, I never wanted to even admit that I was a hairstylist for so long because no one took me serious. No one was, we were like, oh, you style weddings. You don't even need a license for that. Like,
oh, got it.
Style weddings, you don't even do that.
Yeah, there's like a stigma.
Yeah, they're like, you're never going to make a career by styling hair. You know, and those are things that stick with you, you know?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, fortunately, when people say things like that to me, it fuels me tenfold, you know? And I was like, well, that was probably the catalyst to buy the LLC, to start a legit business and be like, no, this is what I do. And I'm not going to let anybody else tell me I can't do this. And, you know, I started following, you know, the big shows, the big like artistic teams, NAHA and all that. And I was like, see, these people do what I want to do. These people are doing it. So I'm going to get there. And that's kind of where Erica came into play. What I saw what she was doing. And I was like, yep, this is where I need to be to make this happen. And Erica saw my photo in the Modern Salon magazine, and we weren't even in Jacksonville when we met for the first time. We were at a hair show.
Oh, no way.
She like ran up to me. She was working for Matrix, I believe. And I was just like there. I think I was nominated for an award. And she was like, oh my God, I can't believe I don't know you. We live in the same city. Come shoot with us. And I was like, okay. And same thing. Like I never said no. And next weekend I was in the salon and we shot. No one's ever seen those images. They weren't great. I did terrible. I didn't know how to style hair for an editorial shoot in 2018. It wasn't good.
Gosh, I wish I could see them now. I wish you would have kept them just to look back on them. Like, look how far I've come.
Listen, I've not even seen them because God knows where they are. But the fact that I even stuck with it, you know, because we knew like that day was just for fun though. We did that all the time back then. And she was the person who would always post something on her Instagram story, like, need help in assisting with a color. And I was always the annoying person, be like, oh, I know we just saw each other a couple of days ago, but like, if you need help today, let me know. And I was working at a different salon, just taking my styling clients for weddings. And it just turned into this really great partnership and like relationship and family over time. And when I tell you like that was the moment my whole career changed, was meeting Erica, working at Studio Sage, having someone, and I might get emotional, but having someone in a home say, we want you here. We see your value. It's okay that you just want to do this. We're good with that. How that changed. That made me want to stay somewhere and build on other parts. So.
Oh, you were just really supported and you were in a place where like you guys fit each other. Like
a creativity could just bloom, you know? And I didn't get shot down. I remember, you know, in fact, it was more of a push. It was like, we think you need to do this. And I was like, no, that's not me. Like, I'm not. And they're like, no, we think you need to do this. And then I was like, okay. And
wow.
Then, you know, I was like, let's do it. And 2019, NAHA happened. And like, that was the best night of my entire life.
Yeah. Oh man. Can you tell us more about that? I want to hear about it. Cause well, first of all, I don't know that all listeners really know what NAHA is because when I talk to some stylists or even people that are not in the industry, they have no idea. So tell us more about NAHA.
So NAHA is North American Hairdressing Awards, and it is in America and North America, the largest photography awards you can enter. It's the most prestigious.
It's like the Oscars for hairstylists.
Exactly. And in North America, it is the Oscars for hairstylists. It is the ultimate. Like when someone says Oscar nominated, people say NAHA nominated hairdresser. And they have, 5 people per category get nominated each year. There's about 15 or so categories. Every year they're different. And in 2019, I entered styling and finishing. And that was my first year entering, and I won that first year. And that was not expected. So a little backstory about that is I was pushed in a wonderful way to enter Pravana Show Us Your Vivids. And I was like, I'm not a colorist, you guys. I was like, I've learned a lot from working here, but I don't, and they're like, no, we really think you need to do this. We see it. We want you to do it. Okay. Doreena's like, we want you to do this. Okay, cool. We do it. I win. And I'm like, what? And then Christopher Benson comes up to me in Vegas at NAHA the year before, and he goes, so when are you entering NAHA? And I was like, this year, let's do it. I was like, we're doing it. And I remember I wanted to enter in a different category. It was avant-garde. And I had all these grand ideas. I had all these, I was like, I'm going to make these pieces and it's going to be incredible. Those pieces didn't happen. I became extremely stressed out. I was like, this is not going the way. I called Doreena the night before, my photographer, and I was like, I can't do it. I'm not doing it. I'm not shooting something that's not ready to be shot. And she was like, what? Wait a minute. She's like, we have a model. We have a makeup artist. She's like, why don't you just do you? Why don't we just do styling and finishing? Just come and create hair and do what you do best. And I was like, okay. She talked me off the ledge.
Oh.
We had this $25 white jacket we got from LA on a trip for wardrobe. She styled it 3 different ways. I styled a bunch of hair pieces. And we created that collection. And with, I think, 1 light, 1 model, 1 makeup artist, and me on a Sunday afternoon, and made that shit happen.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I never ever thought in a million years that I would be able to say that. But I do remember this for anybody, and even if you're not a hairdresser, for anybody out there who doesn't think they can do it, I was told that NAHA was political. Nobody's never win. I was a nobody. And for all intents and purposes, that's still the case.
That is not true. No.
I don't work for, I wasn't a part of a artistic team, or I didn't
right.
brand or anything. Don't ever discount the people around you pushing you and supporting you. If it wasn't for them, I would never have entered. And I remember sitting down with Jessica and Erica before I started working at Studio Sage. They took me out to dinner and they said, what are your 5-year goals? and I was like, I love this question because I've got goals written down for 20 years, And I said, number 1, I want to be a NAHA winning hairdresser. That was out of the mouth, 2018. A year later, the goal done. And I was just like, I can't believe this is my life. And then I won Goldwell's Creative Color award and went to Vienna and competed in a world stage live against countries all over the world, and that was
wow.
My 2019, no big deal. And then COVID happened. It's been such a cool ride. And over that time, so much has happened. Those are just the bullet points, of
yeah.
Over that time, I've become obsessed with photography in a way I never, ever anticipated. And now I'm able to shoot my friends' work and see them have the same moment I did when I shot my NAHA or my Pravana, and giving that gift of art to another stylist and being able to showcase them the way they see it. That is by far the best feeling on this earth. Just period. you know,
Yeah.
there's so many of us who don't think we can do stuff like that. And being able to gift that to another stylist is just priceless.
How crazy is it though that you put that out there? Like it's almost like you had to put it out there in order for the next step to take place. Because what if you'd never said it out loud? What if you kept it inside and you never shared that? Then maybe your team around you wouldn't have thought to like push you in that direction, you know? Like and then maybe your bridal, you know, you would have stayed in that bridal arena, always having the desire to push yourself or try for that. I never shared this with you, but I applied for NAHA years ago, earlier in my career, and I entered avant-garde twice. I was really into it. Oh, girl, I spent months putting together these elaborate headpieces. It was crazy. And yeah, I was really heartbroken when it's like I sent it out there and crossed my fingers and thought about it and looked out in my emails to see if anything came through. And when I didn't get notified that I was like, you know, a finalist, or there's no even like, thank you for your application. So I was like, well, what if they never received it? You know, things like that. And I remember I was actually on the color board at Intercoiffure. And that's where, you know, Sonia Dove, she's been like one of my mentors early on in my career. And so I just was in like this perfect storm where I got to hang out with her and Vivian McKinder. And then Babak shows up. And I was like, it totally had stars in my eyes. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's Babak, you know? And so I got to hang out with him. And I was like, okay, I am going to be that annoying person. I'm going to ask you to look at some photos. Can you please just give me honest feedback, like brutal, honest feedback? Yeah. And he did. He looked at them and he was like, you overdid it. You killed it. You know, like you choked the chicken or whatever the phrase was. And so hearing you tell me the story, or hearing you tell us the story, it reminded me like sometimes less is more. Sometimes just like letting the vision speak for itself rather than trying to piecemeal it and put all these things together, rather than trying to make it some huge elaborate story. Otherwise you can kind of lose your vision behind that, because it's like, well, where are we going here? You know, what is the story to it? So that's really cool. I'm so glad you shared this.
Well, and I think as artists, it's really easy for us to go overboard, right? Like we want to
completely
create something completely new and like something you've never seen before. So the thing that I find now that I'm coaching other artists who want to enter NAHA or want to enter photography contests or want to start photographing themselves is I have to teach them editing down. Like what Babak said, don't kill the chicken, take something away. It's too much. It's overpowering. What you're looking at is not what you're supposed to be looking at. And I think that is really helpful. I did the same thing. With that first collection, I was like, Christopher Benson, come and have a seat. We're going to talk about my collection and you're going to tell me what's wrong with it, you know, because I was like, there's no way I'm getting nominated. So I'm going to get some good feedback from a guy who's won a bunch and someone who's willing to talk to me. And he gave me notes that I still have in my notes today. And I read them over before I shoot. And I'm like,
that's cool.
These are great notes. I got to keep this in my head. And if it's good feedback, if it's good construction, good constructive criticism, it's priceless and it'll never go away. It'll never not apply to what you're doing or want to do. And I feel like finding those people, again, going back to finding your tribe, finding your people, he never, ever made me feel that my work wasn't amazing. He only wanted to help me make it better. And I have shown it to other stylists who I've been crushed by that I will not mention, but like those things are almost just learning experiences. Like, oh, okay, I know who those people aren't a part of my tribe. I was just excited to show something else, you know?
Yes.
So I was like, we're going to keep it to people I know that want the best for me. So that was a huge learning. I did the same thing. Like, I want to show everybody, tell me what I'm wrong. I need to know, you know? And since then, I've entered every single year and I have not gotten nominated again. So does that mean I'm going to stop doing it? Hell no. I've entered 3 times this year. Eric and I just sat down and entered like a bunch, you know?
That's cool.
it's a part of like
Because you love it.
we love it.
Yeah.
Seeing your work come alive through photography is incredible.
It is such an amazing feeling. Yeah, it really is. It makes you feel like it's a birthing thing. Once it's like, I created this thing and I gave it life and it gets to like go past me, or like I get to share this with other people, and it makes you feel something. It evokes an emotion. So, when you submit things to NAHA and let's say, okay, I didn't get nominated this year, do you send those photos to other things? Like, do you enter into other categories, or I don't know what the word is for it, like other like submissions, like magazines, things like that?
Absolutely.
That's good.
Especially when the collections are 5 images or more, I will send them off to different publications that I really love and connect with. There's a few UK online magazines that we love, and we've been published in a few times. And we'll send them off to maybe some of the hair publications. Because if anybody out there does know about NAHA, if you are published in a non-beauty industry magazine, you can enter that collection into the next year's editorial category.
Okay.
So to be into that editorial zone, you have to have had something published in a non-industry magazine. So like it can't be in like Modern Salon, things of that nature. It has to be outside of that. So just keep that. And so, yeah, anything we have that maybe like we want to enter in, and we will, sky's the limit. and other competitions, like, there's every company does competitions, and we love entering them at Studio Sage because what it shows, and what the reason I love it, I don't know if this is felt there. I'm sure they have their own reasons, but the way I see it is I see growth through the years. I look at my collections as like a timeline of how much I've grown, and I know exactly where I was in those moments, and I can speak to those moments, and I can see where I've come as a stylist. And it puts like this beautiful like timeline on my career.
That totally makes sense. You can literally see the progression as your work gets better. That's really cool. Do you have any collections that really stand out to you that you are so attached to that you just revisit it a lot? Like, do you have anything that you just get, I don't know, like, I almost think of like an actor who has like, they got an Oscar for something, or they have something that they're just like closely connected to the storyline of that movie, whenever you like watch documentaries or something. Do you have that for you?
So like, they're all like your children, right? Some you like better than others. No, I'm kidding. No, I do. The collection I entered in 2020 for 2020, after I won, the year I won, I'm very connected to that collection. It was the first time I hired a professional. My model in the first 2019 was professional, but it was the first time I like flew in a model. She was amazing, and she like killed it. I loved the hair I created for those images. I feel very connected to that collection. And then this year, I'm in so much love with the work that I've created for this year's collections. And I almost wish I could screen share and show them to you. I might just send them to you after.
I know. I want to see them. I'm sure all you guys listening, you want to see it too. You're like, I want to see it too. Show me.
And like, hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll see it in February. But the reason why is because I believe, and I'll completely own up to this, and I have no problem owning up to this, is I have been chasing that win since 2019 because I always feel I don't have value in this industry because of coming from bridal or I just style. So I thought I have to chase that win because then people will finally take me seriously. And this is the first year where I think us as a team too, we've created just to create. Like, I'm in love with my photos so much. I don't care what anybody else thinks, like legitimately. And it screams Sarajane. It screams Blush and Mane. You can tell who shot it. You can tell who created it. And I like I was telling you earlier, it was coming together, and I was just like so emotional. And I was like, finally, we're back here. I feel the same way I did that day that we shot my winning collection. There's no expectation. There's no, I have to do this because people are going to, they're going to think I'm a one-off it just wasn't like that finally. And we worked together as a team that whole day so seamlessly. And you could see how close we'd all become, how much we had grown as a team and as stylists. And it was the first time since like COVID that we've all been able to be truly in a room, not have to worry about anything, and create. And it was like this amazing feeling. And you can tell from the images. Like
that's ultimate freedom. That's ultimate freedom right there.
Yeah.
Being able to go together with the people you love, create something that you believe in, not have expectation from it. Gosh, expectation is such a fun kill. Such a buzz kill. Like
so much.
I know. But it's hard not to when you seep into that. It's hard to get out of that. Yeah. So I'm so glad that you were able to do that and just be like, no, that's not what this is about. This is about something that we love, and I'm doing it with the people I love. So, oh, that's so great. What are your new challenges? Like, what challenges do you face like in our world today?
I'm still trying to overcome that feeling of being valuable to not other stylists, but other brands. We briefly talked about that before. And I'm also really trying to create a life for myself that isn't so beholden on me doing bridal hair. Like I just did a 7-person bridal like party before I hopped on here with you. And I don't want that to be my forever.
Yeah.
It afforded me a wonderful life, but I'm ready for my next step. And I think my challenge is, where does that take me? Where is that life going to take me from here? And just kind of letting it just go and not be so controlling over every second of it. And just being like, just trusting that I've done everything that I needed to do up to this point and just let it kind of happen. So that's kind of the challenges I am facing at this point, you know?
Yeah. And to me, it sounds like that's no different than maybe where you were back when you shot your first Naha, even though you didn't know what to expect from it. And even though you didn't have expectation, and I get that, but you still put it on the world. You still wanted something to happen from it. And it still took a lot of vulnerability and courage to do that. I mean, you shared your timeline of growth with us. Like it's all the things that you did, even before COVID closed down, or closed us down, like all the things that you've done. Like it's so easy to like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
But,
yeah,
like you've got so much to celebrate. It's so cool. And I get it because you're one of those people too that's like you dive all the way in, and because you do that, you see benefits happen, you reap the benefits of it. And so how do you not let that snowball continue to grow? It's like, how could you not? So I get it too, because I operate the same way as you.
Oh yeah. I'm like, this is why we get along. This is why we connect.
Yes.
Okay. Let's write some lists together.
Yeah.
Cross off some like to do things together. I love checking off boxes. I've got my list right here. I'm like, yes, okay. But it is also, I'm learning it's also okay to just let everything you've done take over. And for a season and see where it lands you. It's a very uncomfortable feeling. I am very uncomfortable in this realm. Like I'm not booking more than 6 months out now because I'm letting the universe, this is going to sound so hooey, but I'm letting like the universe just be like, don't overbook yourself because you never know what's next. I'm just kind of letting it happen. And
that's a good one.
It's terrifying, but you know, we're getting there.
But that's so important. I think it's such a huge learning lesson. I'm writing that down. Don't overbook yourself so that you can be open to what the universe gives you. Yeah. Like that is so powerful. I feel like no matter who you are, who's listening on the other end, like what you're thinking is going on in your life right now, like it's only happening right now. And in order to be open to more things, don't book yourself to the point that you can't accept it, that you can't like be willing to take it on. You had a quote that you were going to share.
I did.
Yes. I want to hear it.
So I'm a big podcast listener. So I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it kind of goes off of kind of what we've been talking about today. And it's a Ernest Hemingway quote. And it is, the first draft of anything is shit. And the reason I bring it up, okay, is because everything that has brought me to this point, that has been the case. And in the way that I love to learn, but remember when you're learning something new, it's okay that the first couple times you do it, it's not always the best. And remember, like, to just keep going and to just keep diving in and just be letting yourself get deeper and deeper into whatever it is that you love. Because yes, the first draft of anything you're going to do isn't going to be great. I wish I could show you guys the first photos I ever took.
I do too.
Oh my God. And I was like, I'm amazing at this. I can't believe this is my next career. And then now, to the images that we just took with Tucker, who came in and I shot his Naha. And we're just like sitting there like, we just did that together. So, and that's 5 years later. And so I think I just want to encourage people who might be trying something new, going down a new career path, because that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm in that space right now. That, remember, the first draft of anything is garbage, shit, and that's okay. It's meant to be that way sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
But the second draft is going to be a little better. The third draft is going to be even better. And then you're going to reach that pivotal moment where you're on stage winning something that you wanted for so long, or you're, you know, getting that promotion that you wanted for forever because you've written all of those drafts previously and they've gotten you to this point. So that was the quote. I love this quote. I have it written. Now it's like on a piece of paper on my, I don't know if you guys write, you know, affirmations.
Oh, I do. Yes.
On my fridge with the other ones. And also too, like, I know that seems slightly negative, but I do feel like sometimes it's okay to dive into, like, my roommate and I call it the dark and stormies. It's okay because we feel those things too. We don't always have to keep covering them up. Sometimes it's nice to kind of get in there and get in your feels, because kind of what comes out of that can be really beautiful.
Yeah. Like, what I hear when I hear that quote is forgive yourself, because we're so hard on ourselves. We're the number one critics of ourselves. And sometimes it's like maybe asking yourself, like, is that true or is that a lie? Because sometimes we can tell ourselves lies too. Yeah.
I'm like, everything's fine. When really, go cry it out, girl.
Yeah.
After that cry, you're going to feel 1,000 times better. I promise.
Totally.
And it's okay to do that sometimes, you know.
Yes.
You take yourself out of it, you know.
Yeah. I mean, for one, I do have a photo from the very first photo shoot I did, and I've got to go find it now. And when I find it, I will send it to you. I did everything wrong. Like, I did all the backcombing, all the cans of hairspray, all the products, just try to make the hair really big, because that's what you do when you do a photo shoot for the first time. You just make it big.
Bigger for the camera, right? Like, what are you doing?
It was so awful. I think I even did the makeup for her too. I'm trying to remember if I did the makeup or not. I feel like it did. We went with a candy theme. Like, why?
And you kind of did, right? Like,
yeah,
you did you had whatever you had on resource. You took it. You're like, I can do makeup. Come here, let me do your makeup. You know?
Yeah. You bust out your like cover girl. Like,
you're like, I got this.
Yeah,
this is the best thing you've ever seen. At least we hype. I'm hyping myself up. You know, at least we know how to hype ourselves up. And, and see and can look back at some of them. But yeah. I'm gonna send you some of those too, because they're amazing.
I want to see them. I feel like I have to have these visuals, especially like when I do post them on the page. Like, I'm gonna totally put them in a carousel so that you guys can like literally go over to the page and just peruse through them at your will.
Yeah. I'll let you have mine too. Take them, show them. I'm not embarrassed, because just like what you said, it's okay. We all start somewhere, and every first draft is shit. Just remember that. That's
such a great quote. I'm taking that with me. I'm taking it to the bank. I love it. Oh my gosh, Sarajane Maples, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I will definitely put your handle in the show notes. I want to remind you guys to just dream big, set goals, take action, and we will see you next Tuesday. Take care.